Hey guys, Super X here, and I gotta be honest with you, this is my first time shooting any type of vid that wasn't a tutorial kind of specific to a hobby of mine. So we're gonna have to bear with me, but I thought it was an important vid to shoot. I've seen a lot of videos on espresso gear, quite a few. A lot of them were done by the people that make these products and or sell these products. A lot of them were done by people with a kind of a different mindset than I have. So to start off with this video, I'm going to give you my take on this Gaggia Classic, my take on the Rancilio Rocky doserless, the stuff that I use, and why I got into this stuff. I'll start by saying that for about 8 years, I had this really killer, it was a automatic machine by a company called Capresso, and it was, you basically spun this little carousel. For me, it produced, believe it or not, it produced what I thought was a really good shot of espresso. Well, that thing just died, and it set me on sort of a hunt for new stuff. So in that period of time, I went through some gear before I settled on this. The first thing I got was a Capresso machine like this. And when I get into this one, I'll tell you why I believe that is not the option you want to pursue. Also got a grinder called it's a big name one, I'll think of it here in a minute. Can't think of it, but it's I'll come up with it here in a little bit. But I wound up going with this one. It's probably the second most recommended sort of entry or level grinder, as this one is called. And I just can't think of it. It has a big thing on the front. Needless to say, that stuff didn't work out for me. So I wound up going back to Capresso and getting a one-touch. Now anybody that likes espresso, particularly espresso that tastes like you get at Starbucks, which is why I make espresso, because against counter to most people that make these videos, I actually like the lattes that I get from Starbucks. I like them a lot. So that's what I tried to reproduce here. So the one touch I got was called a Jura Micro ENA 50 or something like that. Jura Micro, whatever it was, a little black one, pretty big, good sized machine. First shot I pulled through, they tell you can't use oily beans. I got beans that weren't oily, and even they jammed it up. So it's called the Micro 1, the ENA Micro 1. So that one touch just didn't work out. So then it put me back on the hunt, realizing that there is no one touch on the market that allows you to use dark roasted beans to give you that richness that you were accustomed to in a Starbucks style latte. Still going over to my other hobby. So I'm going to say that put me back here. I wound up settling on the Gaggia Classic, wound up settling on the Rancilio Rocky doserless. So I got all the little tools here. I'd like to go through each machine, gives you my pros and cons on it. I can produce a really killer shot with it. Recommended time is 25 to 30 seconds to get to 2 ounces. I can hit that bang on the head every single time. What I wind up with, I even like to use my paper cups. I really like the whole experience of Starbucks. What I wind up with is an exact double shot, low fat latte with sugar, like big teaspoon of sugar like you get if you go through the drive-thru at Starbucks. So why don't we go into a little more close-up on this here equipment. In the meantime, I'll dig up the name of the other grinder that I had. Stand by. Alright, I'm back. And I remembered what I had. It was called a Gaggia MDF. And I didn't like that because it was a pretty messy grinder. It just left it just was always messy. So I wound up getting this Rancilio Rocky. Pluses and minuses of it from my point of view versus I had this one called a Starbucks Barista. It did okay for the uses that I had, but it didn't stack up to when I started to get this better equipment. I didn't think it worked out well. Would I buy this Rancilio Rocky again? I would say not, because I've found other ones that are considerably more expensive but work better, and I can't think of their names off the top of my head. But they look a lot like that Barista, and they're made by the same company that made that thing. But I had that equipment, I bought it, like I said, 8 or 9 years ago, and it functioned properly all that time. So here, the first thing I did with this Rancilio Rocky was take out the finger guard. The finger guard on it was a nightmare, because one of the things that it does is when you're grinding on a setting of 5, which these beans that I use, they're roasted locally here, very dark roasts. I get them from a company called Coffee AM, and they're called Espresso Verde. They work, basically they're just like the beans you'll buy at Starbucks. Remember, that's my point of why I have this stuff. So what I found was with that finger guard, it's very easy to remove. You just remove the 3 screws, take it out. I can get my spoon in there and just push the beans. I use a plastic spoon for that. And otherwise the grinder gets interrupted quite a bit. That being said, I wanted to get, since it stopped a lot, it was almost impossible to judge and gauge a dose. So I grind into this little deal here, and I got a little gram scale. And I grind out, that way if the grinder I'm interrupting, I used to be able to do it by eye. I'm interrupting it, and I can very easily tell by this scale that I'm grinding anywhere from 17 to 18 grams is what I throw in to my deal. So a little digital gram scale sits here. I put some little feet on the bottom of it to make it so it doesn't dance around under the grind. Use that little cup, grind into it, and I'll take you through how I make a shot. That'll be a separate video. Right now I just want to talk about the equipment. This little thing comes off. You can clean it and stuff. Hopper's good. I mean, I think the grinder is decent. I like it. I don't fill it with a lot of beans. I fill it like with maybe a couple of days worth at a time. I think it's a decent grinder. I'm happy with it. But if I had to buy again, I'd probably, in this price range, I would buy it. If I could have gotten a more expensive grinder, I would have gotten a more expensive grinder. So that's that on my grinder. Now this guy right here. This machine is awesome. I'm going to have to say that it kills the machine that I had gotten from Compresso. They have one in a similar price range. I got from Compresso because their customer service was just pretty much awesome, straight up. I mean, they gave me, like, after that machine was 8 years old, they still like gave me these discounts on equipment. So I thought, might as well go there. All these machines are probably the same, without having reviewed a bunch of them or looked at a bunch of reviews. Not the case at all. First thing you'll notice about the Gaggia is it's a very sturdy machine. The one I had before was called the EC Pro from Compresso. This is a sturdy machine. My judgment of a machine, if I can't grab the portafilter and take it off without the whole machine, like on the Gaggia, for instance, when you just go like this and the whole machine is moving. This one I got it on tight. I mean, not any setting, I mean, no matter what you did with it, even if it was here, the whole machine, you couldn't take the portafilter off without holding it. So for starters, it also comes with a standard size portafilter. That's a big thing. Most people don't think of that when they're going to buy coffee. Espresso machines, they just, oh, I like the price of this one and it says all this and that. Well, that came with a weird sized portafilter. What does that mean? You can't get a decent tamp for it. And if you don't get a decent tamp that fits correctly in your portafilter, you don't get a decent shot. So take that one from me. That was the bigger drawback. The reason that thing was so light was because this little tray was the whole bottom of the machine. It was just a light, cheap machine. Don't want to say bad things about Compresso because their one machine served me for a long time. I'm very happy with this one right here. It pulls a killer shot for the price we're paying. I don't think you could beat it. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there going to say you need to spend thousands of dollars on this and that, but this whole setup right here, you can get it at wholelattelove.com. So that's that. You're going to get your machine. You're going to notice this little pipe. You're going to wonder where those hoses and all that stuff go when you set it up. They just go down in the water tank. Water tank comes out. I've got it full right now. That's kind of how I am. This little thing's real easy to clean. Stainless steel. Little container here. Real easy to clean. I gotta get my sea legs about that. I said usually my videos are about different subject matter. So I notice I'm a little camera shy today. Let's see if we can shake that up a little bit. Slow myself down. I thought it was important to do this review though because there's a lot of stuff out there and most people seem to have a negative attitude about Starbucks. I'm not saying it's the greatest thing in the world, but I will tell you that that's where I go to get my lattes. That's pretty much all I have. And I like them. I like them quite a bit. So this setup duplicates that for me in no time. It's about 5 minutes. I turn on the machine. Usually I let it heat up. If I can let it heat up for 15 or 20 minutes, I do. I have done it in as little as 5, but then I'll take my 2-ounce glass here and just heat it up. The portafilter heats up. The other thing I'm going to recommend is get a bottomless portafilter. At least especially when you're starting out. They're about 50 bucks. You can get them from Gaggia. It's just really hard to dial your shots, in my opinion, and to get an accurate 2-ounce count with the one that comes with it. It has these 2 little deals. I got it up there in the closet, but to me it was useless. I use this, and I pull my shots right in this 2-ounce glass. I time them with this timer. There you go, my last one was 27 seconds. So I timed, that says 57 because the one before that was 30. The goal is to get a shot 25 to 30 seconds, 2 ounces or thereabouts. If it comes out a bunch slower than that and you don't get 2 ounces in 30 seconds, your grind is too fine is what I believe. And if it comes out faster and you get 30 seconds goes by and you are like not even close to being at 2 ounces, or you're way over 2 ounces. In other words, we get to 2 ounces way before 30 seconds. I mean, way before. 25 to 30 is the rule. If you get there before that, your grind is not fine enough. Tamping you'll get down. We'll take you through that shot process. So again, good stainless steel machine. I wanted to show you where they sat under the counters because this thing is pretty tall. I fill it up with bottled water. Fills right there. You just pour it right in. Good heavy duty commercial grade cords on all this equipment. The stainless steel is good. My wife tends to wipe down my stuff, which I don't really like too much. But you can see she'll wipe it down with like, I don't know, this stuff right here. I don't like that. But you can see it's held up pretty good. I just tried to wipe it down. I keep my stuff clean, but the stainless steel doesn't look perfect because she hits it with stuff that isn't like stainless steel friendly. I don't care. The shots come out killer. Again, the portafilter, I'll go into that. It takes different baskets. I'm recommending the bottomless. So basically when you get a bottomless portafilter, you just get that. As opposed to, here's the portafilter that comes with the machine. I don't like that. It looks nifty when you see people pouring shots out of it. But I don't like it. I like bottomless. I like to watch everything come out. And you'll see that in segment 2 of the video. So you just take this thing right here. It comes with a couple of these. One for a single shot and one for a double. I run the double. I run 17 to 18 grams into it. This is the finger guard that came out of here. It's a must take out. There's no spacers or anything needed. You just take it out, put the screws back in. There's videos on it. I bet you, like me, had visions of being the home barista and grinding right into your portafilter, didn't you? Why don't I do that? Why? Well, for one, like I said, this thing jams up a lot on this grind setting of 5. It's always jamming, so I have a plastic spoon. And you're not getting into the burrs. You just turn the bean, so you have to come over here and mess with it. What does that mean? It's impossible to visually judge how much espresso you need. And to constantly pull a good shot, you need a constant dose of espresso. That's why you need this scale. That's why this thing goes back there in the closet. That's why you can grind into anything. I like this. So it was a part from my, I think those things are made by a company called Barazza. That's the grinder that I had. It lasted all those years, but now they have more high-tech ones with some different grind things. Like I wish this one had 1/2 a step down. If I go 1 full step down from 5, it's too much. If I go 1/2 a step, it would probably be perfect. And then I do why don't we go into the shot portion of how I pull a shot. That's these machines. Highly, again, recommended. I would recommend that machine, that grinder, unless you want to drop about $400 more, which I didn't. Couldn't sneak that by my wife either. So that's why I'd recommend that. And then we'll go into the shot pulling technique and all that stuff. What do you think? Shall we knock that bad boy out? Gaggia Classic Rancilio Rocky doserless. There's plenty of videos of people showing you how much water it takes. Oh, I don't use this either. That's usually back here. I use this little thing right here. But I forgot to pull it out. This is called a foaming machine. It foams in a frother. It's like 50 bucks. It's so much simpler and less mess than that and produces killer foam. Why don't we go through now? That's the end of my review and recommendations. Like I said, I don't know what more I can review other than tell you that once we master the shot, which doesn't take long, once we master that, you go through, I don't know, a little bit of trial and error, you'll figure all that out. You will find that these machines give you that Starbucks-like experience. Very easily and conveniently easy to clean, easy to maintain. We just need to go through some other tools. So you're going to need a good tamp. This one is called a, I don't remember. God, my memory's horrible. Some kind of rock, something or other. It's a decent one. And that's it. Then you got to get your good cups, the exact right lids with the right size hole in them. And you are pretty much rocking and rolling at that point. So why don't we let's go through that part of it, okay? All right, step 1 for me is getting my cup ready. Putting a big old teaspoon or tablespoon, it's a 1 full tablespoon of sugar in that cup, right? Next step is to get the frother. That little compresso frother is awesome, in my opinion. All you do is you're going to pour into, there's a minimum and maximum line. I'll fill it to the max. And hit there's a warm, a hot, and I don't know, I guess a cold button. We're going full hot here. Now what I've had to do in order to shoot this video is unplug my espresso machine so I can show you the grinder. So I grind while that's doing its thing. And we got our cup with the sugar, we're just going to move that out of the way. The beans I use, as you can see, are an extremely oily mix of beans. And I already have some in there, but basically, again, I just take a little bit of beans. Very oily. If you could smell these, they smell delicious. It smells like if you bought Starbucks espresso beans, which I bought for a long time. So I found this place that's actually right down the road from where I live, too. It's not far away, but anyway, they just FedEx it. I don't have to drive there, and it gets here like the next day. So we're going to grind. How are we grinding? We're going to let our gram scale weigh itself out, like zero itself out. And then we're going to grind out a stop usually right at 16 when I got 16 grams in. So let's go ahead and do that deal. I'm watching the scale. Right now it's probably not going to stop. And many a times it'll just spin because the beans get hung up on it. At 14, 15, there's 16, I'm stopping. It gives me 17.8 right there. So now what I do with the beans is, this is probably where a more expensive grinder, you may not have to do this, but I watch some videos and I don't want to desecrate what they call the, I think it's called the White's distribution technique or WDC or something. I don't want to desecrate this, but it's along the lines of what they say to do. I just grab this wooden bamboo skewer and I kind of just stir it back and forth, break it up, remove the static. You can go as crazy with that as you want. I'll just typically do it for a little bit to make sure that I've got it all kind of broken up. Again, there's some videos on that technique. You could take this to the extreme level. I'm sorry, I'm not a barista. I'm just a dude that likes a killer latte. So, and I'll show you that I can produce that without being a barista. I'm just a dude at home making lattes in the morning, afternoon, and evenings. So I got that ready. I'm just going to take it, bottomless portafilter, just pour it in. Now, this is the first time I've ever done this with the camera in front of me, so it could be kind of interesting, but that's how it is. You can see, I like it to overflow nicely on there, okay? And while I'm doing this, I'm going to quickly unplug my grinder and plug in the coffee machine so we can, the espresso machine, so we can get after it. I mean, it's been preheating for a good long time. I'll leave my cup up here again. You want everything hot about espresso. My portafilter is probably not as hot as it should be because it's been sitting on the counter, but it should get as close. Normally you leave that on there, you're going to see that it's very hot. I just take the beans and sort of the grinds and sort of try and level them out, pushing down slightly, not much. I'm not trying to tamp it, I just don't want as much to fall out because I like that full bodied shot. Clean off the edges here, because otherwise that'll get caught up in your machine. And then we're going to tamp. I tamp pretty heavily. I tamp heavily with this. Like I said, if I can go another half setting down, I probably might not have to tamp as hard. So the tamp is essentially edge of the counter. I put in my tamper, the tamp deal there, and I make sure it's nice and level, okay? It's got to be level. If it's not level, you're going to get all kinds of problems. And then once it's level, I just give it a good old push. I don't know if it's 30 pounds or 50 pounds or 40 pounds, and then I just turn it a little bit like that, and that's it. Now what I do is take my finger and clean off anything on the edge. Try not to disturb your basket, and you'll see it's not completely polished. There's nothing completely polished about it, but you're going to understand that it produces a decent, perfect shot. We're going for 25 to 30 seconds. Now the first thing you want to do is purge this out a little. Let a little water run through it, like that, okay? Important stuff. Put this on here. Milk's ready. Now we're going to go 2 ounces right here. We're going to time it. Okay, let's see how it goes. This is how you'll start to get used to and doing this stuff, is by timing it, making sure your dose is good every time, and you'll just start to make adjustments to it all as you go. 27 seconds, right to 2 ounces. Let's take a look at that shot. I can tell you it's going to be pretty awesome. It's doing its deal there. As you can see, what do they call that? The Guinnessing effects. So there's a whole bunch of stuff out there where you're going to find all different types of information on making shots from people. My information is what makes me a good shot, what makes me a quick shot, what makes me a shot. Now I'm just going to pour this in the sugar. If you're looking for latte art, I'm not going to be able to provide any of that for you because, like I said, I'm not a barista. I'm a dude that's sick of going through the drive-thru. Wanted the experience at home. Got it for many years. You can see all the froth on top of this deal here. I mean, there's a lot. And you could use as much or as little as you want. There's about how much I'll use. At the end of the day, this is how the Holmes is rolling. Hopefully you can see that. Stir it up just a little bit. There's kids around. They will like that foam milk. We call it cream milk. Put it in hot cocoa and all that good stuff. And let's see. Then we got our little lid here. I get these cups from a company called Carrot. K-A-R-A-T. Carrot cups and lids. I forget the name of it. You just search it up and there's a wholesale. It's like Lolly Cup or something. And right now I'd be throwing the guy at the drive-thru about $4. Plus that was an extra shot. It's a double shot, $4.50, whatever. Right there, baby. Right there. Here's your stuff. I hope that was informative. I hope you liked it. And I hope you liked that there weren't any barking dogs or any dirty dishes that laying around or any of that kind of stuff. Okay? Hey guys, Super X here, and I gotta be honest with you, this is my first time shooting any type of vid that wasn't a tutorial kind of specific to a hobby of mine. So we're gonna have to bear with me, but I thought it was an important vid to shoot. I've seen a lot of videos on espresso gear, quite a few. A lot of them were done by the people that make these products and or sell these products. A lot of them were done by people with a kind of a different mindset than I have. So to start off with this video, I'm going to give you my take on this Gaggia Classic, my take on the Rancilio Rocky doserless, the stuff that I use, and why I got into this stuff. I'll start by saying that for about 8 years, I had this really killer. It was a automatic machine by a company called Capresso, and it was, you basically spun this little carousel. For me, it produced, believe it or not, it produced what I thought was a really good shot of espresso. Well, that thing just died, and it sent me on sort of a hunt for new stuff. So in that period of time, I went through some gear before I settled on this. The first thing I got was a Capresso machine like this. And when I get into this one, I'll tell you why I believe that is not the option you want to pursue. Also got a grinder called it's a big name one, I'll think of it here in a minute. Can't think of it, but it's I'll come up with it here in a little bit. But I wound up going with this one. It's probably the second most recommended sort of entry or level grinder, as this one is called. And I just can't think, it has a big thing on the front. Needless to say, that stuff didn't work out for me. So I wound up going back to Capresso and getting a one-touch. Now anybody that likes espresso, particularly espresso that tastes like you get at Starbucks, which is why I make espresso, because against counter to most people that make these videos,